Hi everybody! Welcome back to Nani Knits and Reads. My name is Natalie and I live in Michigan. I'm a knitter and a reader. This is where I talk to you a little bit about what I've been knitting, what I'm going to be knitting, what I've been reading, what I've been working on designing knitwear wise, because that is where my aspirations lie. So it's been a few months since I last recorded. There's a reason for that I want to kind of get into today. First of all, I just wanted to say hi and I hope that everybody had a beautiful holiday season. Super snowy out here today. I think it's been snowing for about 2 days straight. So it's been really nice knitting and reading weather, sitting at home and bundling up and watching a few shows. I've been really getting into Downton Abbey lately. I tried it before, but I never really gave it a good shot. I kind of pushed past the first few episodes because it does seem a little slow at first, but then you start to get to know the characters and start to love them. I'm really enjoying that show right now. Me and my husband are rewatching Mad Men at night, and he's never watched that full series, but I have. But that one's also amazing, a good one to binge. I hope that you guys are finding a comforting show or a nice book to get into right now, because it's really the time to do that. I guess I want to talk to you about, before I show you any of what I've been knitting, what's been going on behind the scenes here, why I want to kind of change up the structure of this channel. So I started out doing what I've been knitting, what I'm going to knit, what I want to knit next, and same with reading, what I finished reading, and so on. And I have tried that, but I felt like something was missing. I really wanted to focus on either one or the other. I like to still include the other one, but it seemed like so much of an undertaking to focus on both of these, especially when I want to design knitwear, and that is what my big goal is here. So what I'm going to do in the future from now moving forward is just focus on knitting content mostly, and then I will have like a little reading corner where I talk to you about other things like that, like what I've been reading or just interesting things that I feel like talking about. So I hope that all of you really like that and continue to follow, because I think this is where my heart really is going to. And if I'm going to be serious about knitting and growing that skill and growing my design skill, then I think I really need to focus on that for the moment. I felt a lot lighter when I came to that realization. I felt like I was doing the right thing. I think that's how you sometimes know, because I go back and forth about things quite a lot, but you usually know what the right answer is inside. And I know that sounds kind of corny, but that just was right for me. I'm really excited to delve into all kinds of knitting things with you, and I have so many things that I knitted in those months that I wasn't recording, so I have a lot to show you. The one thing that I want to show you that's not knitting related is this mug that my husband got for me for Christmas. I love Pee Wee Herman. Was my favorite show when I was about 5 years old. I even have like a little Pee Wee Herman doll with a pull string on the back that my mom and dad got me for my 5th birthday with it. But I just love this mug. I don't even know how he found it or what made him look for it, but I can just picture him saying that in his voice, like, and knitting, and knitting. Do you guys remember that rubber band ball or aluminum foil? I think it was a rubber band ball. Or was it an aluminum foil ball that he had? And every time he had a rubber band or an aluminum foil, he would like stick it on there until it was like this giant ball that was like the size of his house. If you can remember which one it was, let me know. But anyway, I am wearing one of the pieces that I knit recently. I'll just start with that. So this is the Sophie scarf by Petite. It's a really popular pattern. A lot of people have been making it. And I used a really cool yarn for it too, because I was in the Traverse City area. When I went there, I was there just for a trip with my sister. There was a yarn shop there that Andrea Mowry is affiliated with a lot. She's a really well-known knitwear designer that I'm sure everyone has heard of, and she is from Michigan, or at least used to live in Michigan and then moved away, but I think she actually moved back. And this yarn shop was her local yarn shop, and it's near Traverse City, but it's called Wool and Honey. We made a special trip, and they have a lot of Spincycle yarn there. So I got to see a selection of that, which was pretty cool because I've only ever seen it online. It's kind of a little bit more expensive than some other yarns that I've seen, but if you're doing like a one skein project, I think that it's a really good option. I got this really beautiful like harvest color skein, and it's part of their, let me see, I gotta look it up really quick. Okay, so this was the Spincycle Plump, so like a bulky weight, and it was the Vellichor. I used size 9 needles. I did have to change the pattern a little bit because I didn't want to run out of yarn, and I was a little afraid that I might. So the way that this pattern works is you start out with a certain number of stitches, and then you increase it to kind of like a established width, and then you keep going until you start decreasing again. So it's a pretty simple pattern to follow. It's not mindless knit because you do have to knit a certain number of rows and then do a decrease, and then another certain number and a decrease. And then if you are not paying attention, you could be like, did I just do 6 rows, or did I do 7 rows, or did I do 8 rows? You don't really know. So that is something about this pattern that you have to kind of keep in mind. But since I only had this skein and I wanted to make sure that I didn't run out, because it is bulky yarn and I was afraid of running out, I knit the increases up to this point, and instead of following what the pattern said for how many to do straight, I just kept doing it straight until I hit this halfway point where I weighed. I have a gram scale, and I weighed the yarn that I had left, and then I weighed the yarn that I had already knit, so that I knew when I reached the halfway point. And that actually worked really well. I had not tried that method before, but that made it sure that I didn't run out of yarn before I finished the pattern. I really like this a lot. It's really cozy. You can kind of wrap it like this underneath a coat, or a lot of people just tie it in one or tie it in 2 little knots right here. And she has a couple different variations on this pattern. Like there's a Sophie hood. I think there's another version, but it's really a popular pattern. Like a ton of people have made it. So it's really cool. On Ravelry, you can go to the projects page and you can see all the different projects that people have made, because it'll give you a lot of great ideas. And it's also a great gift knit because it knits up pretty quickly. I did it on Christmas Day when we were just watching TV. It was bulky yarn though, so that's another reason I changed the pattern, but that's also why maybe it was a lot quicker. You can adapt it for any yarn, I think, but you just have to keep track of the measurements, which is another cool thing about this pattern. So that's the Sophie scarf. I'm gonna make a lot more of these as gifts, I think, because they just knit so quickly and they're really chic and just really cute. The second finished object that I want to show you, I had partially finished in my last video, but it's been finished for a while now, so it just seems like it's been so long since I've been in front of the camera. I'm not great in front of the camera, so that's another thing I want to get better at this year. This is called the Nordstrand sweater. And it's a pattern by Hanne Rimmen, I think is how you pronounce her name, but I'm not positive. It's for She did it for Filcolana Yarn Company. She has quite a few patterns for Filcolana on Ravelry, and a lot of them are free, so that's great. So this was a free pattern. Okay, so I'm just gonna read what I wrote about this, but it's a top-down sweater that you knit down from the neck. You do German short rows, then you follow the chart for the yoke, and then you split for sleeves. It incorporates a Nordic color yoke design, and it's inspired by beach life and lime grass that is native to the coasts of the Atlantic and Northern Europe. The neck and the hem, they're ribbed one by one, and the neck seamlessly goes into stockinette down here. So it's nice that the short rows are finished by the time that you get to the yoke, because then you can just enjoy knitting the color work and not worry about keeping track of increases or stitches. So this was really pleasant to knit, and I like the longer neck because you can fold it over or just keep it folded down, and that you can kind of do either, or, you know, if you want, I think they want you, if you want it to be folded over, to sew it in, but I like having the option of just having it out or in. Let me put it on for you, and I'll talk about the yarn that I used. I always know the back of this sweater because the German short rows make it a little bit longer, so that helps when you're trying to put it on. So the yarn they recommended was the Filcolana Tilia, and I didn't get that yarn. I usually try to get yarn from my local yarn shop, so that's what I did here. And so I'm really happy with the way that this one fits. You can do that, or you can fold it under a little bit. You can fold it under even more, or you could just wear it up like this, and it looks pretty good. So it's very classic looking, and it's nice length. It's not, I don't like to do them too long, but this one I just did to measurement, and it was a good length. I use Blue Sky Fibers yarn, which is a Peruvian Highland wool that I like to use from my local yarn shop. So their recommended was the Filcolana Peruvian in charcoal melange held with tilia in steel. It was a worsted weight yarn held with mohair to make more of like a bulky. But I didn't do that because I wanted to maybe save a little bit of money that way, and I think I did calculate it, and it did save a little bit. So it would have been about $150 if I would have done this project with their yarns. But since I didn't do a mohair and I did the Blue Sky Fiber yarn, it was $65 to make this. So okay, and then here I just said the only thing I wish is I would have gone up a size. The pattern calls for US size 6 needles, and I used that size, and I chose the medium, but looking back I should have went up a size because the recommended yarn would have been bulky plus weight, and I was working with a heavier worsted weight. So I think the large size would have been perfect. I did the medium size of the sweater, and I'd like it to be a little bit more oversized than it is right now. Like, it's pretty perfect fit, but it would be kind of cool if it was a little more oversized. Pretty much it for this piece. I think it works really well in the fall and the winter with this color, and the original one does have that charcoal gray, so maybe I think I might try to do the gray one, but honestly I'm not really much for doing the same pattern twice. I like the variety. I will show you the next sweater, which is one that I made for my daughter. And it's actually 2 pieces. I don't have the other one, but I'll show you a picture of the other one. So this is a pattern by Sandnes Garn, and it's called the South Sweater Junior. So this is my version of that. And this is for a 6-year-old. She's 4 right now, but she wears size 5 or 6 usually for clothes. So this is actually a little bit oversized on her, and look, it just fits her really great. The original pattern doesn't have a name written on it, but I used a Swedish darning technique to kind of just embroider her name on the front. And I love how it turned out. It's kind of like a retro vibe, and the yarn had its own pattern. It was actually just like a baby yarn that they had called, it was called Cherish. Yeah, Cherish DK in raspberry and bilberry. So raspberry and bilberry. Yeah, they're baby yarns. They're 100% anti-pilling acrylic, made for baby clothes or baby blankets. So they're very soft. I don't know how much they would hold up, you know, if a kid was wearing it all the time. She's worn it a couple times. There's a little bit of pilling here, but I don't really expect her to wear it for more than like a year. So we'll see. Maybe it's something that will last a little bit longer, and if there's another little girl named Lucy, she can have it. But I made one for her friend, and I just reversed the colors. So I used the bilberry for like the main color, and then the raspberry for the neck and just the neck and the name. What else can I say about this one? It didn't take very long to knit because, you know, it's a child thing, so that was a nice little variety in there. I think I made it. Yeah, I made it for when they were starting preschool, and they both wore it shortly afterwards. So yeah, it was a fun little project. And then after that, I did kind of a big series of knitting projects. I wanted to make holiday sweaters for my family because I've never done that before. I thought it would be really cool to get a picture of everybody wearing a hand knit sweater, and it was a pretty ambitious project because I think I started around October, and I thought there's no way that I'm gonna get this done in time for the holidays, but I did get it done. I've just been knitting and knitting so much lately, and it's just so nice for me. It's so helpful for like anxiety and stress. I feel like I could knit like all day, every day if I had the time. But I am so happy with how these turned out. So these were also Hanne Rimmen sweaters designed for Filcolana, but I used Berroco Ultra Alpaca for all of them. So they had DK plus mohair, and then I just decided to do worsted weight. And these all fit everybody really, really well. That was kind of the best thing to come out of it. Well, there was a lot of good things about it because they were really cute how they matched. This one was for my daughter. This is let me see if this is the right one. Okay, Jingle Bells. Jingle Bells is this one right here. It's really kind of similar to the Nordstrand because it's top down. There's a few German short rows, then you add on the neck later. She did a lot of Italian bind off, and I really like how that looks and finishes on the hem of a piece. It's a lot smoother and just looks a little bit more polished. So I've been trying to incorporate that into every sweater that I've been knitting. Here's a close-up of the little border here. I thought that was such a cute touch for the sweater, and the trees are beautiful. So yeah, this was hers, and I did Berroco Ultra Alpaca, which is a medium weight worsted yarn, and I did it in Eiderdown and Avocado. So those are the two colors for this one. And then the one that I made for myself, I used the same colors. I also did 6-year-old for hers again. It was perfect for her size. So the Eiderdown and Avocado for this one too, and this one was my version. And it's called Santa Baby, with 2 rows of trees, and it has a similar construction. The collar is a little different, and you could make a folded down collar if you want, or really any kind of collar that you want, but I thought I would try what's in the pattern, and this is called, this was just using twisted rib. I'll put it on and show you. It gives it a lot more structure to the collar, like it almost looks kind of stiff standing up. And so I don't know if I fully love that. I might rip it out and do like a just regular collar in the future, just because I'm not completely sold on it. But it fits perfectly. Like, this is kind of the fit that I want to keep when I make sweaters for myself, because it's a little bit baggy. It's hard to get that fit, you know? You have to just keep practicing. All right, so here we go. Here's this one, right? And you can see what I was trying to say about the collar. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of stiff. It like holds its shape whenever you're moving, and it's really just kind of, I don't know if it's because it's a different technique that it's bugging me so much. It feels sort of like a royal collar. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, This one had cool little, like, the bottom has the color, and same on the sleeves. So that was a nice touch for that one too. And yeah, it's a little bit baggy. A couple things right here that's just from when this is honestly me being lazy, because I ran out of a ball and I would just tie the yarn together, which in some patterns that works and you can't really see like a little hole there, but not with this pattern. So actually I don't even know what caused that one, but if I tighten it up, it kind of goes away. That does bug me a little bit, but I'm not gonna be able to do anything about it now. This is my holiday sweater, super comfy and cozy, and I did use the alpaca yarn, which I just recently learned that can grow as you wear the piece. Like, it can get, some alpaca yarn can like grow where some wool doesn't do that. I'll see if this just gets bigger and bigger as I wear it. I made one for my husband, Chris, and I'll show that one to you. These were all free patterns by Hanne Rimmen. I feel like her patterns were really easy to follow. They were really pleasurable to knit. I like them a lot. So his is called Let It Snow. A lot of notes for that one, but I did do a size large for him. He just wore this the other day, but I pretty much stuck to the colors that I saw. I stuck kind of true to those colors that were on Ravelry to these patterns, so they look very similar. And I was glad that I was able to do that without getting yarn outside my local yarn shop or, you know, ordering it online. and without having to use the mohair, because that would have really made these a lot more expensive. He really liked, and I really liked the little white dots here, but I think are some places where they don't show up, and I had to pull them through. And I think the reason for this was that I used leftover white yarn that I had from another project, and I think it's a little bit thicker than the blue yarn. I think that affected the tension. That's my guess. Mostly it's pretty even. It's just there's some spots that you can see that in, and I'd like to figure that out if I made another one with that design in the future. Okay, I have 2 more finished objects to show you, but I'm gonna take this one off because honestly the neck is bothering me, and that might be a sign that I need to redo it. Did you guys have a good holiday? I hope that you did, and I hope that it wasn't too stressful. Mine was pretty chill. I did a lot of knitting and a lot of reading. This last project is the last one that's not mine. And it's really cute. This was also for my daughter, but if I'm being honest, it's a little bit for me too. And let me go get the book. Okay. Last year for Christmas, Chris got me this book called Knitted Animal Friends. Louise Crowther is the designer behind these, and this was a book that is at my local yarn shop, and they actually had a whole section there of all of the yarns to make all the animals, and they have a couple of the animals pre-made. I wanted to make one, even though making like stuffed animals and things hasn't really been my main thing that I've been interested in, but after making one of these, I want to make all of them. They're so cute, and I had actually started it that last Christmas, but I think it was a mix of it being the tiny needles, because you have to use like 1 or US size 1 or 1.5 to make these, and then you have to do little increases with cotton yarn, and it can be, if you don't have the right needles, if you just did like maybe a bulky project, it might be a little harder. That's what happened to me anyway. Like I didn't want to continue making that, so I put it on pause, but then I revisited it. I just got really addicted and knit it up within a week. It was like a couple days actually, I think. This is the one that I made for my daughter, but they have such cute little animals in here, and they break it down in a way that is really easy to understand. And how she did this, I just think is cool, because it just seems so complicated if you've never made anything like this. She does like these standard body parts and has directions for every row, and it's like with a lot of patterns where you're starting it and you're doing different things every row, and you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to like pay attention to this for every single row. But then eventually you start to see like what you're doing, and you realize you don't have to pay attention to it, and you know what's going on. So that's kind of what happened here. But they just have like these adorable bodies, and they're a little bit bigger than you would think they would be. I'll show you this one, but I just want to show you a couple pictures of them. And they have clothes and shoes. I think this would also be a great gift knit as well. But it did have some sticky points, so I'll tell you about those. But here's the one that I made. Her name is Bella the cat. And oh, let me read to you about her. Okay, Because she sometimes feels the cold, Bella likes to dress warmly in her favorite sweater and skirt. If she finds herself at a loose end, she entertains herself by chasing the pom-poms on her scarf. So that is my... Before I show this to you, I just have to tell you that my daughter's been playing with this a lot, so she doesn't look brand new anymore. But here she is. So you can see they're like a little bit bigger than what you would think. And I used the colors, all the colors that they recommended. My daughter's been like pulling strings out of the back of it. It's already pilling quite a bit, but I do have a little fabric shaver that I can use. That's her thumb. So when you start out, I think that was like the most complicated part that you actually start out with on this cat. So that's where I would maybe want to revisit if I did it again, or suggest not starting out with the most complicated part. So you start out with her head and you do these little increases right here on the nose. Mine does not look like that. And I kind of like just did the nose. I don't know. The nose was hard to figure out. I did add whiskers to her because it just looked like something was missing before. And I have some pictures of when I stuffed her initially. I didn't use enough stuffing. You really have to like pack them full. It looked like a little demonic toy, and it was really creepy. And I was showing it to like my sister and she was like, what is that? But then when I stuffed it again, it looked a lot better. Like its face had to be wider and a little shorter. So you might have to like squish it around a little bit to get like the shape that you want it to get. The button eyes can be a little like but all in all, I liked doing the pattern. Putting it together was pretty easy. It is like super floppy though. I don't think that the head is really like how they describe putting it on, and I had to just reinforce it and reinforce it even to get like this level of not wobbliness, but it's still pretty wobbly. So I think I do want to try to do another one and then try to see if I can get the heads to stick on. And also at my local yarn shop, there's a lady who's made these and she said she has some techniques for keeping the head on there. So I'm gonna definitely take advantage of that. But this is Bella, and I'll make some more to show you guys in the future. But she can just kind of chill right there. Ooh. That one was just like a joy knit. It was just giving me serotonin. And I think I want to do like the bunny next because my daughter really wants a pet bunny. I don't know that we're ready for a bunny, and I don't know how my other animals would react to that. So I think we're gonna just like delay that for a while, but okay. The last finished object that I have is my own design, and I think I might have talked about this a little bit on my last video, but this is my scarf design, and I've gotten this one done, which is the regular size. It's double-sided, really squishy, and it has 2 I cords coming out the ends. So you can wear it like this triangle scarf and tie it in a bow, or you can wear it like this and it makes a pretty cool bandana. I did a lot of versions of this, and this is the one that I just really like the structure of, I like how there's no wrong side to it, the size, kind of like the border and closing it, making that as seamless as possible. I've even worn it on my head and that looks pretty cool too. This is the smaller version. I made this one for my daughter, and we also can use it as a bandana for a pet if you want. But yeah, this kind of shows you this side and then this side, and then it has the 2 I cords right here. It's garter stitch, and then you do an increase on either side of the center stitch and then fold it in half to get that squishy structure, and then you seam together one end and then knit, pick up stitches, knit a couple rows and seam together the other end. It knits up pretty quickly. This was my first design that I am working on getting published on Ravelry, so it's just been such a cool experience, and it's just cemented for me that this is what I want to do, and to really be focused on it and to really put my heart into that. I always felt like doing art was something that I wanted to do my whole life, and now I kind of have the opportunity to make that happen. It's everything that I always wanted it to be, so I'm beyond happy with it. I named it the Jeanette scarf after my grandma because my grandma was a crocheter, and she always made us, she sewed too, and she made us so many handmade gifts that I love and that I cherish. And that was her whole spirit, was like, she didn't have any money at all, and she had 7 kids, and she would show us love by making us these handmade things. Like, she made me a bride's costume for Halloween one year, and she made us like a clown costume. She made us Raggedy Ann dolls, like giant Raggedy Ann dolls. And she had a lot of grandchildren, but we always got these handmade gifts from her. So it's kind of named after her, for like the spirit of making things with love and making it. I hope that somebody can make this with somebody that they love, or for somebody that they love. Like, one of the things that she did with me is, it's one of the last kind of memories I have of her before she went to the hospital, was she would make these vintage hair ties. And I was over at her house and she was showing me how to make them. And it's just a piece of yarn held between one person and another person, and then each person twists in the opposite direction of the other person, and you come together. It twists the yarn, you tie the ends, and you make it into a bow. And you've probably seen these like yarn bows in people's hair, or you can look up, I'll show you a picture online, but it ends up looking kind of like this. And that, when I saw that detail, I knew I had to name this scarf after my grandma, because that was the bow that we made together. I'm just really happy that I got to kind of let her live on a little bit, you know, by making something. And I feel like she's kind of been like with me in this process, so it's pretty cool. I'm getting a little emotional, but she was a great person, and I miss her a lot. But yeah, so I'm working with, I reached out to a tech editor that I had heard somebody else used, and she's been amazing. I've been emailing her back and forth, and she's been helping me write the pattern. And then last week I opened it up for testing, and I got a lot of responses. I was so happy about that. And so if you are interested in testing, I'm not really planning on limiting the testing anytime soon. I can send you the pattern, just send it to your email, and I'm looking at maybe taking about a month to knit it, which is a very generous amount of time, because this knits up really quickly. It uses worsted weight yarn, and you could probably do it in a couple days if you were so inclined. But open it up for testing. And I want to get as many testers as possible for this first design, because I want to make sure that I do this in a user-friendly way. I'm doing this like all self-taught, And I feel like a lot of knitters probably have to do that too. But wording, you know, a pattern is like your own language, and it's been interesting and it's been fun. And I'm trying to just open myself up and let myself experience it. And even if I get like criticism, letting myself be open to that. So yeah, I still have it open. If you're interested, you can comment, test below, and I'll get to you somehow, and you can test this pattern out before I put it on Ravelry. So this is the Jeanette scarf, and yeah, it's really meaningful to me in many ways, being my first design and being named after my grandma. So that is all of my finished objects. Also want to add that I'm filming some tutorials for the Jeanette scarf. I just started doing that today, and I will have those up this week. So this, you know, if anybody wants to test knit this, if anybody wants to test knit this, then I will have those tutorials. It should be just so easy to walk through this. It's a beginner friendly pattern, and this is kind of like what it looks like starting out. So stay tuned for that. I'll have those out very soon. Okay, I have two pretty exciting whips that I'm working on right now. And the first one, I wanted to do something a little more challenging. So I wanted to do a really classic cable knit sweater. And so I chose, this is the Turtle Dove pullover by Sari Nordland. It's the front and the back. And I am loving knitting this. I think on Sari's page or somewhere she talks about doing these intricate cable knit pullovers. Like, they're not as complicated as you think they would be. Like, for sure, this is a work of genius, and she deserves, you know, that to be said. But she will even say it like herself, that she makes these patterns in an approachable way. So I love the cables in this. This is one of her pieces that stuck out to me, and it has 9 sizes. It's pretty size inclusive. I used a fingering weight held with a mohair, so I did add mohair for this one, but I love it so far. And I think, let me see. Yeah, I think I'll be folding this down. Yeah, I'll be folding it down. So kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. It took a long time. It's taking a lot longer to knit, but that's expected because it's a cable pattern. What I want to do next with this one, because on Instagram I was putting like every day that I was working on it, but then I had to stop because I really want to make sure that this is like a perfect fit for me, even if I have to go back and I don't know, go back to a certain point and make it a little bit bigger, because it's looking a little smaller than what was suggested, and I don't know if that's my problem getting gauge or what. So right now I want to block it, and then I want to try it on, and I want to see. It's not so much a question of the stitches width-wise, it's just like going down and how I have to keep going and going before I get to the next part, but it's not really written that way. So I think it's just my gauge. She used a different yarn too. I used Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair and their fingering weight yarn together. But yeah, so this is it. I love looking at it. I love the dimension in this, and I can't wait to wear it, but it needs to be right. I'm not afraid to frog, you guys. I'll frog all day, but we'll see. I'm excited. So here's the the yarns that I used in, this looks a little yellow right now, but I think it's just the light in the room because it's a Pretty True white, and then this is the fingering white. So this is going to be a little bit more of an expensive sweater for me, but I'm going to have this till the day I die, maybe. Who knows? I might spill coffee on it. Just before I filmed this, I spilled coffee all over my Nordstrand sweater because I'm like that person who carries a cup of coffee everywhere they go. This is cold and I've had it all day, and I'll like take it in my car with me. I'll take it on a walk with me. Like, it's my comfort animal is a mug of coffee. So I'm often spilling coffee on like everything I have. Every day I spill it in my car. It's my comfort animal and my toxic trait. So that is a window into my life. Last whip that I want to show you. I am in love with this as well. Wait, let me see where I'm at though. I don't want to lose. I did. Hold on a second, you guys. I ran out of one of the colors, so I have to get more. I'm gonna take this off. This is a shawl, and it's another pattern that I've seen pop up a lot on Ravelry. So I think it's a pretty popular one, but it's called the Pressed Flowers Shawl. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so beautiful. And I love these colors. Like, I think that they're like a really, they look kind of vintage, like 1950s, or like a bathroom for some reason, but I like that. And I'll show you a little closer. It's a mosaic knitting, which I hadn't done yet. So I love the slip stitch of mosaic knitting. If you're nervous about trying mosaic knitting, it's not as difficult as you would think. And it's actually something that I might prefer more than color work, stranded color work, because I don't really like intarsia either. But this, you can just go one, like the pink, for instance, I can go pink all the way across the row and not carry the green with me at all, because I'll be like slipping the green stitches. So I love that. The flowers do have that pressed in look. I just can't wait to wear this. I'm pretty far along with it, but then I did run out of one of the yarn colors, and I ordered it from my local yarn shop, and they said that it's coming, and I keep asking them and it's just not showing up. So I am almost done with it though, and I really want to finish it, but I have to be patient. I have to wait for the color. It's gonna be something that I'm gonna wear all the time, and I want to make a lot more shawls. Like, I wasn't sure if I was a shawl person because they have that, I don't know, they have that stigma of looking like, you look like kind of like a granny, but why wouldn't I want to look like a granny? I feel like I am basically a granny right now, so I might as well. And I think it's really pretty. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm really, really happy with this. This and the turtle dove shawl, I think my whips are just getting better and better. I'm realizing what I like. And so for this one I used, I used another Berroco. The green is Berroco, and it's a vintage DK in fennel. So this is DK project. And then my local yarn shop has a whole like DK section. Well, they actually have more than just DK, but it's called Emma's Yarn, and I haven't seen it at other shops, so I'm not sure if it's that common, but this was in Beauty Queen, and that's the color that I'm waiting for. So it's got some dimension in it, which adds to the cool color palette, I think. But yeah, I'm super happy with the colors for this one. That is the last whip that I have. So that's all the knitting. And what am I gonna knit next? I want to finish these 2 whips. I'm already thinking about a new design that I want to make, so I'll be sure to talk to you about that in the next episode. And I really want to do like a make along for the Jeanette scarf. I want to get like a community kind of involvement with that. And then I do have a whole queued up list of other projects that I want to do on Ravelry. So I'm going to save that for the next video to show you though, because I want to kind of go over them and what I like about them. But yeah, that's the knitting. So thank you so much for watching the knitting portion. And I didn't want to leave out books totally because I've been reading a lot lately too, and I enjoy talking about it, even if that's not going to be really a main focus. But if you're reading any of these books, of course, I would love to hear about it and just share your thoughts and what you want to read next. I'm always interested in hearing that. This is what I'm reading right now. This book I was very interested in for a long time and really wanted to pick up. And I didn't know much about it actually, but it's just the title, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. It sounded kind of cool, and it won the Nobel Prize in Literature. And then I also heard about this author, Olga Tokarzuk. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but she wrote The Impusium, which also looked really interesting to me and was kind of like a take on the Magic Mountain book as well. So I just thought there's a good chance I might enjoy her work, and I'd read a couple pages of this one and The Impusium at the bookstore and decided to pick this one up. I think I'm going to finish this one first and see if I do like her style, and I will get The Impusium. But so far I'm loving this, and I'm so glad that I picked it up during the winter time because it's set in a remote winter village, and this main character, you're not sure kind of if she's getting cabin fever or like has been secluded for too long, but she kind of takes care of houses that people, like vacation houses in the area that people are not willing to stay during like this kind of weather. And then she's really into astrology and she also has a really strong bond with animals and kind of just burying the animals that she finds out in this area. So it's very atmospheric of wintertime, and I love getting in the mood while you're deep in winter reading about something that's very deeply winter feeling. So I'm enjoying this book. Her writing style is very beautiful as well. I just started reading the first book. This is a biggie. The Earthsea series by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is a lot of books. So this is her whole Earthsea collection. It's all illustrated. It has some cool illustrations in it. And I just was really attracted to this book. And I think I had a gift card or somebody gifted it to me. So I was like, I want to get this one. And I've been wanting to read it for a long time. So I just started, and it was a little slow going at first, but I stuck with it, and I think that once you kind of get to know the characters, you kind of understand where it's going a little bit more, and it's almost like fantasy meets fairy tale is how I would describe it. So I'm just getting into it. I'm not sure how much I will love it, but so far I'm liking it, and that's good enough. And the only other book I'm reading is on my Libby app, and it is The Book Thief. I was reading that with my dad. He flew ahead of me and read the whole thing with the audiobook like in a week, and I'm still reading it. It's been like a couple months because it is kind of a heavy book, although it's very charming and it's very Like it has its lighthearted moments, it has its silly moments, and it's really good at keeping up with that. It's really balanced, but it's also very, very heavy and very sad. It's about a girl, a German girl, living with her foster family during World War II, and kind of her formative years, she like the time that she spent there. And I won't go into everything that happens, but it's very heartbreaking, and I've just been stalled at the very end of it because it's, you know, kind of what's going to happen at the end, and you know it's going to be sad. I need to finish that one. I'm at like 92%, and then I'll read a page and feel like I'm going to cry, and then I'll like stop and read something else. So yeah, that's what I've been reading. Thank you so much for watching all of this and just listening to me talk about knitting and reading. I hope that you're knitting something that you love, or doing some kind of art that you love, making something. It's so rewarding to just make something, even if you don't think you're good at it, or even if you don't feel like it. It's always rewarding. I hope that you are reading something cozy or doing something cozy. Those two things really balance me out, and so I hope that you get that kind of balance in your life too. And yeah, that's all I really have for today. I'm really looking forward to showing you a lot of cool stuff in the future. And stay warm, my friends. Have a wonderful day.